Canada is fraught with problems right now, between shutting down oil and gas, between natural disasters, between social problems. But one of the big ones that everybody is aware of is inflation. You can't go and buy anything at the same price you could a year ago. So Jay Goldberg is with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, joins me right now because I want to put the question to you. We are in a very high inflationary period. Is that going to get worse before it gets better? And where's it going to end? How are we going to deal with this?
Well, it all depends on government policy. We're seeing massive deficit spending that has clearly led to higher prices and more inflation. And I know I've certainly talked about it a lot before, but when you have a carbon tax that is 8.8 cents a liter on the price of gas, and literally everything we need to get, whether it's at the grocery store or Canadian Tire, is being shipped from one place to another, that's driving up prices.
And I guess that, I've said this before, the working man or woman who has to get from A to B, and they aren't in downtown Toronto or Vancouver, they don't have public transit, they have to drive. And they have to, use the same amount of gas as they did before.
Well, that's right. I take my daughter to daycare all the time. Unfortunately, we live in Guelph. We don't have a downtown subway. We got to get there by car, and that's the reality millions of people face.
So are we in danger of a collapse? Or is this just going to get worse? I know that in certain countries like Venezuela, they just downgrade their currencies all the time, so you don't have to carry a wheelbarrow full of bills to go buy a popsicle.
Well, we could certainly get better, but that requires better government policy. That requires pulling back on all this reckless government spending, lowering taxes, potentially getting rid of the carbon tax. I know Prime Minister Trudeau doesn't want to do that, but it really is driving prices up in this country.
And it's doing nothing to fight global warming.
Our emissions are up. British Columbia's had a carbon tax for over a decade. Their emissions keep going up. It's proven. It's bad economic policy. It's bad environmental policy.
And yet we have a whole generation, if not two generations of people. When I talked to a smart person the other day, he said, well, just put on the oil gas caps and global warming is going to go away. That's what politicians have taught Canadians.
Well, that's simply not the case. We need energy, and, there's a way to do it.
In the last big round of inflation, the way it was brought down is that interest rates went to 18, 19%. I bought my first home then. I think the mortgage was 19%. Is that going to happen?
Well, we hope it doesn't happen, and the way we can avoid that from happening is if the government quits putting hundreds of billions of dollars into the economy that is flooding the market and increasing prices. And what we need to do is have a government with restraint, put more money back in taxpayers' pockets so we can afford to buy things, and that's how we're going to avoid high inflation and high interest rates.
And the masterful thing about you, Jay, is that you say that with a smile on your face. You're optimistic. Jay Goldberg, thank you very much. 3 minutes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for subscribing. Independent thought, that's what we need. So, some people say, though, 3 minutes is just perfect. I can sit on the toilet in the morning. I like it. However, others say, I'm busy to sit and watch. For that, we now have the podcast. So wherever you subscribe to podcasts, you can go through and just go to a podcast, Canadian Politics. There it is, the LeDrew, 3 minutes. You don't have to watch me. You can just hear me and hear the guests.